Well, as the world marks the day when Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine, Ottawa has announced more support. Janice McGregor is in Ottawa with the details on all of that. So, Janice, what was in today's announcement?
Yeah, by day's end, of course, we're going to see a lot of commemoration, things lit up, candles lit, but also some tangible additional support out. First thing this morning in the form of a summary release from Global Affairs Canada. I should say this is not the full extent of it. We are going to hear from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Defence Minister Anita Anand. Later on this afternoon, we are leaning in to kind of see whether they, like the UK, like the US, you just talked to Magda about this, are going to have additional kind of sanctions measures or additional steps perhaps in support of Ukraine's military. But for now, this is what Global Affairs was highlighting in its release, $32 million. Some of this, I must say, already announced last summer by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, an extension, some of it is, of things that Canada was already helping to fund, like some initiatives. Our colleague Murray Brewster was talking about efforts, for example, to supply demining equipment. 7.5 million of it is for that. Also, Canada has been involved in some efforts to pursue what they call accountability in this conflict, including measures to address sexual violence, which unfortunately can often occur in war zones. And this isn't something that costs money, but part of the release from Global Affairs today is saying that Canada will be part of a joint effort with the Americans, with the British, on something called an advisory group for Ukraine that will help investigate, persecute war crimes in this battlefield. I want to show you a quick clip, though, of Melanie Joly. We have talked a lot about the risk of the use of chemical, biological, nuclear weapons in this conflict. Some people very concerned because Russia has them, that they could use them. Here's Melanie Joly, a little bit of what she said at the UN yesterday about where Putin's been at on this.
President Putin is entirely responsible for this war, and his latest address proves that he remains unmoored from this reality.
This reality. So what do Western countries do? Well, Canada is providing $12 million of this for efforts to both protect the border, make sure that materials that could be used for chemical weapons, for example, don't get into Ukraine. This is something that the U.S. Department of Energy has been working on, and also measures in collaboration with the U.S. Defense Department to make sure that they have early warnings and protections against potential threats of this nature. I also note Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky very fast on the heels of this announcement to be out on social media thanking Canada for these measures. We will see if there are any other measures coming before day's end, but obviously we have seen Zelensky very grateful for any support he receives from allies like Canada.
And Janice, while we wait to hear about any additional steps that Canada intends to take, we do have word that 2 Canadian companies have run afoul of U.S. Commerce Department sanctions. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, just very preliminary information, Hillary, because this is something that's just kind of breaking and just geeks like me diving into U.S. Commerce Department publications trying to figure this out. But there have been 2 companies searching for them online. I can tell you the names of them that are listed now as part of the U.S. trade sanctions. Sapunto, C-P-U-N-T-O, Inc., and Electronic Networks, Inc. According to some online searches, it appears these 2 could be Montreal area, Greater Montreal electronics distributors, but they have now been fingered by the U.S. Commerce Department for somehow supporting Russia's defense industries. Now, this is obviously problematic for these companies. They will no longer be able to kind of trade with the Americans. This sanction could sting their business. But there's a bigger question here about why Canadian authorities were not aware that companies operating in their jurisdiction were somehow trading with Russia's defense industry. I think myself included thought that that had been cracked down on long ago. So why weren't Canadian authorities aware? Did they just find out today, or did they know about this? How did the Americans communicate it? What does this tell us about the extent of Canada's compliance regime, that this could be happening? A lot of questions coming from this, and raising the question of sort of whether Canada might have been a bit asleep at the switch here.
Janice, thanks for digging into all of that. We do appreciate the reporting.
You're welcome.
Janice McGregor for us in Ottawa.